Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, thank you so much for being with us.
I'm delighted to be with you again. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Observers noted that your State of the State speech last week was welcoming to Republicans. One of our commentators called it conciliatory, even. And Republicans also gave you at least one standing ovation. Your speech was focused on crime. Your agenda has been largely focused on crime. And some people noticed that you didn't mention some of the things that you have talked quite loudly about in the past, that you've been very aggressive on: abortion, LGBTQ rights, gun control. And so can you talk for a minute about your strategy of framing your priorities for this session and your strategy for success?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I did really want to highlight all of our accomplishments, and honestly, and I'm proud of that, and so should the legislature. That is a 10-hour speech. There is a lot there, and some of it has been, honestly, blind luck, but a lot of it has been really strategic about building an economy and really shifting about how we support New Mexico families, frankly, from cradle to career. You want to get out of poverty, you want to move the needle, then we can't keep vacillating about what and when. It's all of it, all of the time. And I mentioned, right, we went from 50th to 17th in childhood poverty. That is amazing, and sometimes I bristle a bit that we're not talking about that more and more and more, because it is being talked about all over America. New Mexico's recipe for success is working, and so I want to hold that, because sometimes we are a little hard on ourselves because we got plenty of challenges, but don't forget to celebrate real wins. That was one. Two, that accountability needs to happen everywhere. I'm going to hold the federal government accountable. I'm going to hold ourselves accountable. And the legislature has to be accountable for meeting the moment that they have. And that clearly is public safety. And so I really tried to do that theme. Look, everyone, I hope, knows you're never going to lose me as a reproductive rights champion. I believe in the freedom and equality of every person. And when they rip those away from women, this is a state that will stand them up over and over and over again. And I have no doubt that's going to get more challenging. And New Mexico will rise to the occasion, and also expect for me to build more clinics. And I should be doing that because it's primary care.
You had a press conference this week on some of your crime proposals, and you had a bipartisan group of lawmakers there. Is it important to you, is it vital to you to work in a bipartisan fashion on public safety?
On everything. I don't know if you remember, but Gwyneth, in 2019, I had a rocket docket with 40 bills that had been vetoed by the previous governor, both Republicans and Democrats. And I said, if the conditions or issues haven't changed, and these are still relevant, and everybody supports them, you get them up to me in 5 days and I will sign them all. If it's a good idea, should we be caring whose idea it is? And I think actually this legislature could stand alone in a bright, really productive fashion. We're not always going to agree. Our values between the parties are totally different. We don't have to look like a page out of Washington, D.C. We can be New Mexicans. We can be more nonpartisan and more bipartisan. And public safety is affecting every single community in the state. So it ought to be a driving factor for every single legislator. And I think, in fact, that's showing. I've got 35 bills I want to get upstairs or more. They've got 35 to 50 bills or more. More will be introduced by victims' advocates' rights organizations and others. And let's see how many that make a difference can get upstairs. But I'm very optimistic that we're going to get a healthy body of good public safety changes.
This week, President Trump ordered a pause on federal grant programs and then rescinded it, or maybe not. It's a little bit hard to tell.
I don't think he knows.
I'm not sure they do. But the White House did say that the order was supposed to target DEI, woke gender ideology, and the new Green Deal, I'm quoting. Diversity, gender equality, clean energy, these are issues that you've been a champion for here in New Mexico. Does having Trump in the White House put more pressure on you to protect these people, these programs, these values here?
Well, I was governor once before when Trump was in the White House, so no president should be able to, and he certainly won't be able to here, to pressure someone who's been elected by their own state to represent their priorities and their values. And I chuckle a little, not that I don't think this is very serious. I mean, look, they're after destroying education. Right? These policies are all about, we don't want any universities or colleges, we don't want anything that's an independent research academic institution. And so you get people really angry that somehow we're hiring people who are not qualified, and it's an unfair system built for some Hollywood elites. I made that up. Whatever it is that seems, the others. Well, in New Mexico, if you were to really read what they're saying, it means that, I guess, since we're a minority majority state, I can't hire anyone who's Anglo. And so I don't know if that's what they intend, but here's what I intend. We will continue to hire people who are motivated and qualified, who are diverse, who have different ideas and strategies, to meet this moment with integrity and courage, and to do right by every single New Mexican. And does that mean that we might miss a federal grant or two when they get their sea legs and figure out what the hell it is that they're going to try to do, which, by the way, is unconstitutional, because just like I can't pass a law, I can't appropriate myself money, and neither can he. And I think this is a place where the U.S. Supreme Court was going to say no, which is why they were quick to roll that back. But we could lose a grant or two, and then we're going to fund it ourselves because we're going to do right by New Mexico.
Immigration is one of the issues where the state's approach has been most notably kind of different from Trump's. What can you and Democratic lawmakers do to counter the new administration on its plans?
So interestingly enough, your timing, as per usual, is perfect. And I'm going to be a little bit vague, but I hope I can explain it well and apologize to viewers. I'm of the opinion that when you're riding a roller coaster backwards, and it's the worst and most terrifying roller coaster in the world, and there are no seatbelts or bars, and you can't get off, it never ends, that you just hang on. Don't try to jump out. You'll hurt yourself. You'll kill yourself. Just hang in. Eventually, it'll run out of energy, or somebody will unplug it. I need to wait and see where they go. And poking him and telling him or telegraphing what you're going to do typically isn't the best idea. But here's where we're going to be aligned. I don't like the cartel either. I do think they should be labeled as a terrorist, or whatever it takes for us to do better by transnational gangs and these criminal organizations, 1,000% in. I already did an organized crime commission. We're already funding it. I want more. One of the biggest countries, fentanyl busts and human trafficking busts, us. I asked Biden, I didn't get it, for 25 federal agents, nearly every week for the entire 4 years. I've asked Obama, we've asked everyone. We need more policing that's constitutional, that is working on identifying, arresting, all done constitutionally. And if you're a bad actor from Mexico, you bet. You give me that warrant, I am happy to make sure that you're part of that deportation aspect. Done. We do it already. Why wouldn't you do that? You send me a warrant, and I shows up, I do it. And I want help ferreting out bad actors. You go into a school to try to scare children, and separate families, and create a humanitarian crisis. They should expect a swift and immediate response from the state to the highest degree. And I wish I could assure every worker in every undocumented family that they have the right protections here. Federal government is a powerful force, and the fact that they can militarize the border, which I also believe is unconstitutional, I find disgusting. But they are going to send hundreds of people to our border in the next couple of days. I didn't get to bear witness to their training. I don't know what it is that they think they're going to do at the border. But expect that we have operations well underway that do the right humanitarian thing to the highest degree that we can. Because we're not going to tolerate that by just sitting back, standing idly by and saying the federal government can do whatever they want to anyone they want. That is not how this country was built. And it is certainly not how this state was built.
I'm going to shift to climate for a minute here. In his first days in office, Trump declared a national energy emergency, hoping to use executive authority to undo a lot of Biden administration clean energy policies. And Trump wants to shift more investment to oil, gas, and coal. But part of what he wants to do, too, is cut environmental regulations and speed up the permitting process for things like transmission lines. New Mexico is home to two of the biggest transmission lines ever. They've been in the works almost 20 years. And we are one of the nation's top oil and gas producers. Could President Trump's power grab on this national energy emergency benefit New Mexico?
Well, in some ways it could. And look, we cannot have the permitting for transmission. New Mexicans want, and I do too, a whole lot more green electrons moving through our systems. But I can't unless I'm modernizing the grid and getting more transmission. It's as simple as that. Well, if they change that permitting, and then we make sure that we aren't doing anything to marginalize communities, that we're not breaching our own environmental regulations, I'm happy to have that take 3 years. I don't need it to take 20 and 30. It's taking 30 years in most states. We will never meet a transmission goal if I can't get green electrons onto the grid. It makes no sense. So that would benefit New Mexico. It will really benefit the West. And I think you'll see a lot of Democratic governors be all about that, including that permitting and those regulatory environments at the federal level prevent us from doing solar storage and battery storage. I need all of the above to meet our clean energy targets and our goals. So yes, I think it benefits the country, and I think it absolutely benefits New Mexico. Now, I didn't need him to roll back anything and to make some grand announcement about national security and oil. We went to the second largest oil and gas producer while curbing methane, putting hefty fines on polluters and bad actors. And while it may not make any sense to an environmentally minded New Mexican who's doing right by that effort, that we produce the cleanest barrel of oil in the world and the cleanest liter of natural gas. Well, how do we do that? Better not have a pneumatic valve, better not be using diesel, better put solar, better not release methane, better use recycled water, better clean it up. That reduces their carbon footprint in meaningful ways while at the same time. I want wind, I want solar, I want geothermal. Frankly, I'm a bit agnostic about hydrogen. I will incentivize you to lower that carbon intensity to the lowest degree. That means you're green or green plus. Those are made up colors. What if we can make a translucent color? Why am I doing that? You meet a negative standard, and I am in. There's so much more that New Mexico can do, and we are going to do it. And the reality is, he wants American manufacturers. He's going to find that if he really wants to do that and meet these American worker goals, he's going to have to embrace a lot more of this renewable energy. He may not incentivize it with those tax breaks anymore, but all those Republican states who benefit, including my neighbor Texas, are going to want those. So let's just see where they land. But again, expect New Mexico to do more of the same, maybe a little bit on steroids. I got 2 years, I'm greedy, I want it all. And you know, we're one of the top renewable energy producers in the country. We're also one of the places where solar is least expensive, and we are moving in the right direction. And I get to chair the U.S. Climate Alliance and talk about you can make your oil and gas industry accountable, but we're in a transition. And you know what, to viewers, I wish we weren't. I wish you could just do this, and I can clean it up, I can stop and reverse climate change, and it's done. But it's impossible, and we've gotten in our own way around the globe. So let's do right by all of it. Let's be the fastest state in America in a transition, and then we can be a little tougher about where our energy comes from, and I expect that the next governor will.